Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of No Holds Barred here at the Toronto Sun. Rob Wong and Postmedia wrestling writer Jan Murphy with you. Pleased to be joined once again by our friend WWE Superstar Nattie Neidhart, whose book, The Last Hart Beating, set to release in just over a week's time, October the 28th. And Nattie, so much to talk with you about, but we've spoken to you a lot about the book, but you announced last week that you're officially going out on a book tour, which is super exciting, over a dozen cities, including a stop in Calgary and, of course, here in Toronto. You've done so many signings, meet and greets over the years, but I imagine this one is extra special.
Oh, I'm so excited to get back to Toronto. Of course, Calgary is my hometown, but listen, if you're a Heart, you basically claim all of Canada. So all of Canada is like home for me. So I'm so excited to get back to Toronto and of course Calgary, and it's just people that are reading the book, especially when they've gotten to the end, they're reaching out and they're like, oh my god, like I love the book. It has such a powerful message in it, and there's a lot in the book, but the message, there's a really really strong message. And the biggest thing for me in writing this book is that I really wanted it to be an easy read, because I personally don't like complicated. If I feel like a book, especially when you open it up from the very start, it feels really hard to read, or it's complicated, or it's too much. Like I'll just lose focus. So the big thing for me was making sure that it was an easy read, but also I wanted people that love wrestling to love the book, but I wanted people that had never ever watched wrestling, that know nothing about WWE or know nothing about my family or know nothing about the industry. I wanted them to get something from this book. I wanted no reader to be left behind. And so that was a really really big thing for me, is that, like, for example, as an experiment, I gave my book to the lady at the post office. We go there, she mails out our mail. She doesn't know what I do. She's an older woman, she doesn't watch wrestling, and she doesn't know that I wrestle. So I gave her the book and I said, hi, I wrote this book and you always help us out, and I just wanted to give it to you. She read the book in 2 days and she was like, wow. She's like, I can't even believe, like, she loved the story. She was like, your mom and like your dad, and like your mom's such a strong woman. And she didn't really, it wasn't for her, it wasn't about wrestling. And she was like, it was about the story. She goes, by the time I got to the end, she's like, I was laughing, I was crying, and I was just feeling everything. And I said to my mom, I go, that was my experiment. Like, and I want to, like, people that don't even know anything about wrestling are loving this book. And she had a lot of, her name is Janine. She had a lot of questions. She had a ton of questions for me. But she got what the meaning was behind it. And so that's like my thing about not leaving any reader behind. I don't want to leave any reader behind.
The schedule for the signings is crazy. I mean, do you ever take it easy on yourself when it comes to getting on a plane and flying all over the world in short spurts of time?
So Jan, my October schedule is like, I'm doing AAA. I'm doing, because I'm working wrestling in Mexico. I'm training at the Dungeon, and of course, I have over a dozen signings. I will be wrestling in Mexico, and then the next day in November, going straight off the plane to a signing in Orlando, and then of course, if I'm needed for Monday Night Raw, I'm traveling to Oklahoma right after that. It's very cool. This is the thing. And I always have to remind myself of this. When you're starving and you're begging for an opportunity and you're fucking begging to eat, you can't complain when you get fed. And that's the thing, is that, like, I've been, working so hard on this book and working so hard on this new character that I'm doing in wrestling. And, I love the industry. I'm very passionate about it. And, like, I just love all the stuff that I'm doing. And I didn't want to really say no to anything. So I am going to work. I'm going to be away from home quite a bit, but I'm excited. I'm excited about going to Toronto. I'm excited about going to Calgary. I'm excited about the signings that I have in New Jersey and in New York. I'm doing a signing at Mall of America. I'm doing a signing in Los Angeles, a signing in North Carolina, one in Orlando. It's just to name a few. So it's exciting, it's fun, and it's everything that I asked for. So I'm going to be a little tired, and I'm going to need I'm going to need my Tim Hortons. But I'm also really grateful because I'm doing something that I love.
I remember you and I chatting. You can tell me the time frame, but you were off injured at that time. First time you'd ever been injured in your career for any length of time. And we were talking, and at that time you seemed very something was changing within you. You were no more like, I've been quiet too long. I've got to start looking out for myself and acting for myself. And I feel like here we are, just a couple years later, maybe 3 years later, and you've taken absolute control of your career in every aspect, including getting this book done. I mean, do you
I
remember that
Yeah,
conversation?
I totally remember it because you and I've always been able to have very real discussions with you where I can always be myself and I don't feel judged. And I can just say what I need to say and say what's on my mind. And I absolutely remember the conversation. And I think in the last year and a half, last really year and 3 months, I decided, when I was signing my new contract with WWE in June of 2024, I said, I'm gonna I'm going to do a book. I'm going to build my career in a different way. I'm going to take control. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I leave no stone unturned. And I've done it. I've been working on another project, which I'm almost done with, and I haven't announced it yet, but I will. I will soon. And it was another. It was like a spawn from something from my book, and then something else came from that, which is another spawn from my book. And I'm like, I am just doing. I feel like I'm doing the best work of my career, and I'm so excited because it's like, I'm in my early 40s and I don't look at like, oh my gosh, like I gotta wrap it up. I'm getting old. I'm just hitting my stride. I'm just getting started. Did you guys see The Smashing Machine?
Not
I haven't
yet.
seen it yet,
No,
but
not yet. So I saw that movie last Friday with TJ. I was just curious. I wanted to watch it. Dwayne Johnson wrote the foreword for my book. And, I was like, I want to go watch it. First of all, it goes back to doing stuff that fulfilled you, doing stuff that makes your heart feel good. And like I loved that Dwayne Johnson threw himself into this role. He's in his 50s. He was in the best shape of his life doing the role. The movie was he was so vulnerable in the movie. It's a side of him that nobody's ever seen before. And I said to my husband, I was like, Dwayne's doing this for him. He's it's a obviously everybody wants a movie to be a massive success, but when it comes right down to it, I could tell that he took on the role for like it was a passion project for him to show a side that the world had never seen before. And so, and I got to thinking, like, I felt like that's kind of, when I started building this new character outside of WWE and taking on all these outside shows. I asked WWE, can I do Bloodsport? Can I do NWA? Can I do Reality of Wrestling? And then I, of course, worked in AAA, and then did Bloodsport again. It was so much me, like Jan and I were saying, like, it was the first time in my life where I was like, I'm just taking control of everything and I'm just going to be selfish and I'm going to like build me. I'm not going to worry about making everybody else happy. And that's the thing is that we've seen Rock, for example, we've seen Dwayne Johnson in huge, huge, huge studio movies like that were like hundreds of millions of dollars to make. For me, I wanted to wrestle in front of 200 people. I wanted to create art and I wanted to build something. I wanted to build it by myself and show everybody like, look what I can do. Look what I can create. And so, like I said, when I watched his movie and I was like, to me, he's doing this for him because he is showing us a side of him that it's not about necessarily making a big box office blockbuster. He's doing this for the art. He's doing this for the art. And that's what, like, when I started writing my book, I was scared. I was really scared because I was like, I don't know if I want to say this. I don't want to offend this person. I don't want this person to be mad at me. I don't think I want to share this about my dad. Like, I got really, really scared writing it because I was like, I'm a recovering people pleaser. I want to make everyone happy. And it was the first time in my life where I was like, no, just write the book for you. Write it for you. And if people like it, they like it. If they love it, they love it. If they hate it, they hate it. But do it for you. This is your project. If you sell one book, great. If you sell no books, great. If it becomes a bestseller, great. But like, stop worrying about what everybody else thinks and just take a chance on it. Just try. Just start somewhere. And so that was a really big, big thing for me. Again, when I was talking to Jan about my career and my life, because so much of my life, not just in WWE, but even in my early, early wrestling years, I was thinking about like, what would my uncles like? And what would this person like? And what would my opponent like? And when my near 19-year career in WWE, I thought about like, what would my bosses like? And what would the girls I'm working with like? And what would the fans like? We always need to be, mindful of pleasing the audience, but you can lose yourself sometimes too when you try to please everyone. And so we discover and discuss and talk about and explore that a lot in my book. And it's, it was extremely liberating and very cathartic writing about it. And I'm just like, I'm scared for people to read it, but I'm also excited for people to read it.
Yeah, like all of that is incredible advice. It sounds extremely fulfilling, the book that you've written, and obviously the work that you're doing right now. As you said, you're going to be very busy over the last little bit here. But you mentioned Calgary before, and you can't wait for that stop. And some really cool news this past week or earlier this week that the Elbow River Bridge in Calgary has now been renamed after your grandfather, Stu Hart. It's been 22 years since his passing. It's now the Stu Hart Memorial Bridge. I guess that's how you know you've made it in a town or a city when you have pieces of land named after you. But we saw Brett was there for the honor, of course. That must be really special for your family.
It was so, so special. And my grandfather, Calgary was so important to him. It's where he built everything. It's where the Hart House remains. It's an historical site in Canada. And, our family, everything we have, it started in Calgary. And my grandfather really, I feel in a lot of ways, and I know I'm biased, but I feel like my grandfather and my uncles and my family, and it started with Stu. They really put Calgary on the map. And so a lot of people, people fly in from all over the world just to drive by the Hart House. And my grandfather raised his children there. He loved that city. He was such a proud Canadian, such a proud Calgarian. And so it's so fitting on, the passing of or on the anniversary of his passing, that he would be honored. Like, and honored, we're talking about a person. My grandfather was a little boy. He was homeless. He lived in the Saskatchewan wilderness. He slept in a tent in between dogs to stay warm. He found the local YMCA as a place to stay warm, ended up just accidentally taking up amateur wrestling as a place to stay warm. Wrestling changed his life. Wrestling saved his life. And then from that point on, as he became an adult and he migrated to Calgary to start his family, he never ever forgot that wrestling saved his life. He never forgot that he laid down his roots with his family at the Hart House in Calgary. And he always made it his mission just to continue to give back, give back, give back, give back, give back. And so towards the end of my grandfather's life, he was given the Order of Canada. He was recognized with the Order of Canada because of the amount of charity work that he did in Calgary and in that city. It was stuff he never talked about. And back then we didn't have social media, so he wasn't able to show, like, this is all the stuff that I did. But my grandfather donated so much of his earnings from Stampede Wrestling to local charities, especially the ones that were for kids. So him getting this honor is really, to me, it's also about celebrating the work that he did in the community and letting that live on. And so I'm so happy for him. And when I'm in Calgary on November 7th for my book tour, I'm signing that evening at Chapters in Chinook Center. I'm going to go to the Memorial Bridge. I'm going to go to the Stu Hart Memorial Bridge, and I am just going to go there and just honor my grandfather. So if you guys want to come with me, let me know, and we'll take some selfies at the bridge.
That's amazing. I mean, some of my favorite columns that you wrote for the Toronto Sun and Calgary Sun over the years were the ones where you reflected back on your grandfather wrestling in that ring in his front yard. The meals that you guys would share together, and the cast of characters that would come through that house. He's an absolute gem, like a Canadian icon. Up there with Don Cherry and some of our other favorite Canadians, Brett obviously, and I think you've joined that list yourself.
Thank you so much, Jan. And I've always loved being able to highlight what he's meant to me, because he's my greatest inspiration. He's taught me the most, I think, about perseverance and having a passion and fighting through hard things, and then ultimately building grit. And so, he's such a special person to me. I never stop thinking about my grandfather, and the people that got the chance to meet him or know him, they always talk about him in the most loving way. So it's across the entire industry. Like, if you meet somebody that says a bad thing about Stu Hart, you wouldn't believe them, because that's the kind of person that he is, or that he was. He's just one of those people that I've just never heard anybody say a bad thing about him, other than don't get stuck with him by yourself in the dungeon.
I was just going to say, he twisted me up like a pretzel. Yeah.
Exactly.
Might be a couple of people who have some hard feelings.
Oh, yeah. And it's Don't get stuck with him in the dungeon, because you will not. There's a good chance that you're going to come out needing a serious chiropractor.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some incredible stories in the book, Nattie. For people who want to find out about these signings and where you're going to be, where can they go to get the info?
They can go to lastheartbeatingbook.com, and then I have it all over my social media pages too. So all over my social pages, I've got the book tour and the book, like all of it. It's all listed. So on my Instagram and on my Twitter, and then those handles are at Nat by Nature.
You're
Awesome.
not on Facebook though. There's a
I
lot of
I
fake
have
ones out there.
I need to get on Facebook. I need to do that. WWE has a big Facebook account for me, but Jan, I mean, between TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, I'm like, it's a wonder that I even go to bed at night.
There are some good fake accounts out there, just so you know, on Facebook. I see them pop up all the time.
Oh, I know. I mean, listen, I get people messaging me all the time saying you never accepted my friend request. I'm like, I'm not on Facebook.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. If you're getting a friend request from Nattie Neidhart, it is not her. She is not on Facebook, so do not click that link. Nattie, appreciate the time as always. So happy for you with this book release, and we'll talk to you soon.